And now to the second of our series on Nepal. Religion is the foundation of society in Nepal, and possibly nowhere else in the world can one see a more harmonious mix of Hinduism and Buddhism. We start our journey in the temples of Kathmandu. In this ancient country of nearly 30 million people, it's impossible to ignore the binding role Nepal's religions play. For hundreds of years, both Hinduism and Buddhism have coexisted and together have woven Nepal's social fabric. The unique blend of these two religions is truly the cornerstone of society in Nepal. I'm here during an important Hindu harvest festival to see Nepal at its busiest, fervent best. Everyone around here is right in the thick of preparing for the festival Dasai, which is really important for Hindus in both Nepal and India. But the difference is in the way it's celebrated. I've probably never seen these many animals lined up, goats and chicken and buffaloes all ready and waiting to be sent to their maker in the name of religion. In a way, it makes me feel quite uneasy, but also it's a very tangible reminder of the whole circle of life. Although Hinduism is the dominant religion in Nepal, this is the land where the Buddha was born, and the very reason why it is now home to thousands of Tibetan refugees from across the border. I've always felt a really close connection with Tibetan culture and Tibetan people after spending a lot of time in the North Indian city of Dharamshala, a Tibetan refugee settlement. But I've been really looking forward to coming to Nepal and learning a bit more about Tibetan Buddhism and seeing how Tibetan refugees live here. After all, this is the first place that they arrive after leaving their homeland of Tibet. And my chance to explore the side of Nepal came with a teacher at a local Tibetan monastery. I'd arranged to meet Dakpa at a Tibetan settlement in Kathmandu. Dakpa, a refugee himself, had offered me a basic room in the monastery he teaches in. But before I accept that austerity, I fuel myself with the richness of Tibetan tea. This creamy goodness of black tea blended with butter, milk and salt traditionally sustains Tibetans up in the highlands. But here in 28 degrees of Kathmandu, it was a slightly different story. From 1959, when Tibet was taken over by China and refugees flooded into Nepal, as they still do today, the rich spirit of the Tibetan community has been kept alive in sacred stupas and thriving monasteries that keep the flame of Buddhism burning. I've arrived at Oseling Monastery about 400 meters above Kathmandu city, maintained by a sizable Tibetan refugee trust. The young monks are preparing on the hilltop yard for an important exam. What is part of the curriculum that monks study here?
Here?
Yeah.
They're studying, the first year they're studying some Tibetan grammar. It's, you can call that Buddhist logic. Main point why we have to study about this logic is have to think about yourself things, deciding whether it's wrong or right. This is the most important thing. Somebody asks you a question and then you answer it just directly, even you don't think about it. That's not enough. If you find the real answer or right answer, that's not the point actually. To make you think.
So it's the search and not the answers that are important. And looking for those evasive answers, students from all over Asia and the West take up residencies at Oseling each year. What is it about Buddhist philosophy that attracts so many Westerners? Why not any other religion?
I think one reason is you can study Buddhism freely. There's no limitation that you can study this but not this. You can study whatever subject in Buddhism freely. And also, many of Buddhist logic or philosophies are very reasonable.
In both Buddhism and Hinduism, the notions of truth and spirituality aren't fixed but constantly explored, each student in charge of their own personal journey. It's moving to see that here in the land of the Buddha's birth, the future of this faith is being born every day in monasteries like these. So everything's supplied to them,
Yeah.
including books and robes
Books
and
and
room and
everything.
food, everything.
Even they don't have 1 rupee, they can live in this monastery. No problem.
Up here, the city and its distractions are miles away, and days are filled with chanting and studying. And sometimes a bit of gardening.
Before I have like this small, only 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's just too many.
That's nice.
Simplicity is really the key to life in the monastery. And as a guest, I get a rare taste of what it's like to be a student. After a very basic meal, the monks are back to the books as night falls. Studying is an endless, all-consuming process here. I'm just amazed at the fact that it's almost 10 p.m. and the monks are still in the yard studying and chanting and reciting their lines with hardly any light, and it's freezing cold out there. I suppose many of them are aware that it will take many more years of this sort of memorizing until they start reading between the lines, which is the essence of putting a young monk through the whole grill of being in a monastery. The next morning, Dakpa has arranged a clean-up campaign, an act of dharma or a good deed done selflessly, but not without enthusiasm. As Nepal's population expands, it faces dire need of better rubbish disposal, and sadly, even the sacred is not safe from the scourge of litter. The monks make their way to the sacred hilltop Swayambhunath temple, picking up piles of litter along the way. Along with them, I finally arrived at this 5th century temple, affectionately known as the Monkey Temple. This place is truly a grand culmination, a blending point of Hinduism and Buddhism, 2 cousins in faith. Well, I've just walked down from the monastery to the temple and another 365 steps to the Swayambhunath stupa. Scorching hot, but the atmosphere is fantastic. Here, each day, devotees, regardless of their faith, flock to pay their respects, each in their own way. For although Swayambhunath is a Buddhist temple, some shrines are Hindu, and worship is a harmonious mix of the 2 traditions. My journey into Nepal's spiritual landscape took me further to ancient Pashupatinath, the temple dedicated to the gods of all things living, and its sacred cremation carts. Here, funeral pyres are burnt with unchanged tradition for hundreds of years. Life and death, peace and chaos all exist together, and life carries on regardless. At this most sacred place for Nepali Hindu cremations, the banks of the holy Bagmati, each day sees a mix of humanity. Some devotees offering thanks, while others mourn a loss. While this place might signify an end for many, it also signifies an important beginning for many more. It's the very reason why an eye hospital was set up right round the corner from the burning ghats of Pashupatinath temple.